How do bearings work, and how do you find the one that's right for you? Hi, my name's Rachel, and in this video I'll tell you about the most common bearings. I will list the 7 factors you should keep in mind when choosing a type of bearing for your machine, and finally, share some thoughts on sealing. A bearing is designed to support a load and reduce friction. By allowing smooth rotation, bearings help cut down energy consumption, making your machinery more efficient. Nowadays, you can find bearings in a variety of applications: washing machines, bikes and skates, as well as agricultural equipment. Main factors you should keep in mind are the load, misalignment, available space, precision, rotational speed, rigidity, axial displacement capability. It's important to find the right bearing for each particular situation. Choosing the wrong one will either not work poorly, or will break down over time. So, how do they work? A bearing consists of 4 parts. There's the outer race, the bearing's exterior ring, which protects the internal parts. Then there's the inner race, the part that's in contact with the shaft. Then you have the rolling element, usually balls or rollers, which fit between the outer and inner rings and enable smooth movement. Finally, there's the separator, the part that holds the balls or rollers in place and evenly spaced. Before we do a deep dive into the different types of bearings, let's talk about the 7 factors you should keep in mind when choosing the right one for your machinery. A bearing generally supports one of 2 types of loads: axial, which is in this direction, on the axis, versus radial load, which is in this direction. Each bearing is designed to withstand a certain amount of load in either one or both of these directions. If you're faced with poor alignment, it's best to go for a suitable self-aligning bearing, as a fixed one will only be appropriate when the alignment is right. Bearings come in many different shapes and sizes, from big to small. The confines of the space where the bearing operates can be restrictive, so you've got to measure carefully. When choosing, fitting and adjusting a bearing, precision is imperative. The wrong bearing, or a badly fitted one, can result in vibration, a reduced lifespan and even damage to the machinery. A large bearing can withstand a smaller maximum RPM than a small bearing. Likewise, there is a difference between ball bearings and roller bearings. For high speeds, ball bearings are usually the way to go. We'll talk about the difference between the two in a bit. How much play do you need? The less play the bearing has, the more rigid it becomes. It's a fine balance, so always measure carefully and refer to the manual for a particular bearing placement. Depending on the operating temperature, your machinery can expand or shrink. That can change the space available for mounting bearings, so knowing you have a bearing that will be unaffected by shrinkage or expanding is essential. Let's take a look at the most common types of bearings. There are 2 main bearings: ball and roller. First up, ball bearings. Single row ball bearings are by far the most widely used of all types. As you might have guessed, these bearings rely on a single row of balls. You find this type in transmissions, steering, crankshafts, conveyors, you name it. Single row ball bearings can support radial loads and, to a smaller extent, axial loads. Next, there's the double row ball bearing, which is used when the radial loads are higher, or if you need a low level of axial support, but in both directions, axial and radial. Next up are the angular contact ball bearings, which support radial loads. The difference here is that the inner race and the outer race have a higher shoulder on one side of the ring to take up more axial loads. Keep in mind that it can only do so in one direction though. The last type I'll mention in terms of ball bearings is the self-aligning ball bearing. It's used in applications where misalignment must be compensated for. You can find them in fans, agricultural attachments, conveyors, etc. Let's kick off with spherical ones. These are the same kind of bearing as the self-aligning ball bearing, but with rollers instead of balls. They're the perfect choice when dealing with demanding and heavier loads and lower speeds. Finally, there's tapered roller bearings. The main benefit of these is that they can support both radial and axial loads simultaneously. However, only in one direction. If you have axial loads in both directions, then you can combine 2 or more tapered roller bearings together. We see this type of bearings in a lot of agricultural machinery, in transmissions, axle shafts, differentials, trailers, and more. A seal protects the inner workings of a bearing against contamination, and they prevent any lubrication from leaving the bearing. Most bearing types are available with and without seals. Seals are available in both rubber and metal types. Metal seals, commonly denoted as ZZ seals, are mounted to the outer ring and work as a shield. They don't touch the inner ring, which makes the bearing run smoothly. Rubber seals, or 2RS, do make contact with the inner ring. This is better protection against contamination, but it does lead to more friction. Whether you need a seal, and if so, which type, depends on the application, so it's important to do your homework to ensure your bearings will last you a long, long time. Ultimately, you want to aim for the highest quality bearing available for the job. Manufacturers choose the bearings for their machines very carefully, balancing cost, energy efficiency, size, speeds, operating conditions, service life, and more. So the first place you should always look is the service manual. Just click here if you wish to read one of our articles on ball bearings in the Kramp Knowledge Centre. One more thing to keep in mind. With second-hand machinery, it's possible that parts have been replaced by a repairman who didn't follow the manual. This makes things a bit more complicated, so always double check to see if the proper products have been used. And if not, adjust accordingly. Remember the 7 factors we discussed earlier. The load, misalignment, available space, precision, rotational speed, rigidity, and axial displacement capability. We also talked about the components of a bearing. We then looked in detail at different types of ball bearings. And lastly, we discussed the importance of rubber or metal seals. Have you ever had to adjust bearings on your machinery? Let me know in the comments below. We have plenty more videos for you to check out, so make sure you hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date on new videos coming to the channel. Thanks for watching and see you next time.